Okay, we have a fun one today. Joining us on the line is former Vikings quarterback, a one-time NFL MVP, a broadcaster for CBS, and a friend of the program. It's Rich Gannon. Hey, Rich, how are you?
I'll be good to be with you. It's usually early. I'm usually not a guest until the season, but obviously a lot going on right now. Despite the fact that the teams have finished mini camp, and there's an opportunity for a lot of these players to get better. I know the coaches get a chance to step away, but it's not the time to pump the brakes. You got about 5 weeks, 4.5 weeks to kind of take care of yourself, but to come back physically and mentally prepared for what's going to be a long stretch and hopefully a championship run.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Yeah.
What did you do when you were playing during this 4 or 5 week stretch? What do you recall sort of filling the time for you during the summer?
I try to stay competitive. There's certain things that I needed to get accomplished. I think one of the big mistakes a lot of quarterbacks make is they don't throw enough in the month of June and in early July. It's important to, if you're going to go into training camp and be throwing twice a day and you're throwing lots of reps, you need to make sure that, you're starting to amp up and get yourself physically ready to be able to throw that many balls, not just in one day, but in back-to-back days. And that's really important. So I'd throw in the morning, I'd come back in the afternoon and throw a little bit. I'd try and get myself on a training camp schedule. I'd get my lifting and running done in the morning. And then, try and have some free time. And again, it is vacation time. I mean, guys have been grinding all spring, through the OTAs and mini camp. But it's important to get your conditioning in. And, look, it doesn't take, 8-9 hours each day. But if you're smart with it, you get up in the morning, you get some work done, you can go to the lake or go to the beach or whatever your plans call, while you're on vacation, but still be able to train. And the other thing, from a quarterback's perspective, it's always hard to find receivers to throw to. And so I'd grab my brothers and I'd put them in positions and I'd have them run the end of routes. And so I do whatever I could to kind of simulate what a practice was going to look like, what training camp was going to look like, to make sure that I came back in the best condition, the best shape possible, and so that I could have a really good camp. I think I think having a really strong camp, not just collectively as a group, but individually. I know from a quarterback standpoint, I wanted to have a great training camp and make sure I came out of training camp ready to have really a solid season.
Yeah, and what do you think that'll mean for Kirk Cousins here in Minnesota as he goes through it for the second time as a Minnesota Viking? If you're a fan listening to this, Rich, and you're coming to watch camp, what would a fan look for to be like, yeah, Kirk looks good out there?
Well, we always say we see a lot of improvement, especially with young players from year 1 to year 2. Now, Kirk obviously has been around. He's been in the league. I think the fact that he's had a season under his belt, with Kevin Stefanski, with the players around him, with the receivers and the backs, the tight ends, is going to help him as they move into year 2. I think Gary Kubiak is going to help everybody. I think, obviously it was a great addition, a great hire by Mike Zimmer. Gary's been a play caller. He's been a quarterback in this league. He's been a head coach that's won a Super Bowl. I just think he can help Kevin really sync up the run game with the passing game a little bit more, the play action game. Really, I think incorporate some things that maybe Kirk hasn't done a lot of, but he'll do more of this year. I think moving the pocket a little bit can help the offensive line. We talked about having the play action game look a little bit more like the running game. I think that can be an area where the Vikings really improve. I mean, the running game, in my opinion, wasn't really a point of emphasis, especially the first half of the season a year ago. And I think that's really where it has to start. I think that can help the quarterback, that can help the entire offense, and that can really open you up to some big explosive plays down the field off the play action game.
Hey, you mentioned the play action game, and a lot of people will say that's one of the strengths of Kirk Cousins' skill set is he's a really good play action quarterback, and the numbers bear that out. You played in the league for a long time. You ran play action as part of the offenses you were in. Why are some quarterbacks better in that area than others? What are some keys to being good in the play action game as a quarterback?
I think a lot of it is your pre-snap recognition and awareness. When you know pre-snap, you have a pretty good indicator of where you're going to go with the ball. In other words, if you see some type of rotation with the coverage, you see, a matchup that you like. If you see a two deep high safety, and you know you're going to work the tight end to the flanker or whatever your progression is. Because a lot of times in play action, once the ball is snapped, your eyes, unlike a pure drop back pass where your eyes would be downfield, in a play action game, your eyes leave downfield, and your eyes start to move back behind you so you can extend the ball and make it look like the run game. So the ability to get your eyes around quickly after the fake, to be able to reevaluate what's happened with the coverage. But I think part of it has to be done pre-snap. So the pre-snap awareness, the pre-snap recognition, the pre-snap anticipation is really important. I think that's one of the reasons, Kirk's obviously a really smart guy. I think that helps him. His ability to extend the ball, to sell the run, but yet to still be able to rip his head and shoulders and square up and get his head and eyes back on the target quickly is important. And that's usually, look at Peyton Manning. You look at some of the quarterbacks. Brady does a good job of it. Actually, to his left, he does a really nice job of it. Drew Brees. Aaron Rodgers does a terrific job. Guys that can sell the run action, make it look, to the safeties, in particular corners, linebackers, that make them feel like it's a run. And then, I obviously pull that ball back out and get it up and down quickly. But I think he does a good job. And I think they can be better. You look at areas where they can be better offensively. I think with more of a commitment to the running game, I think with a little bit more juice in the backfield. I know this young back's got a chance to be a pretty good player. Mm-hmm. Madison out of Boise State. I liked him coming out. He's been in a pro-style offense, so that could help. But, all the things that they can do, and obviously, you think about a healthy Cook back there as well, and an offensive line that should be a year better, and with the addition of a first-round pick in Bradbury, that could help as well.
Yeah, that's awesome analysis, Rich. We appreciate it. I know you're busy. I'm sure we caught you between tea times, I would guess today, right?
Well, I like to think so. I'm a member at Hazeltine, but we had this big event this week that you probably heard, the LPGA. So the
Mm-hmm.
women have taken over our course, and I'm really anxious to see what they can do. They're going to play from the same tees that we play from, the member tees, which is about a little over 6,700 yards. And, they hit it long, but I hear and I know just from watching that they hit it really straight, unlike me. So they're going to find that they may not experience the roughs like I do, but the course is in great shape. It's been closed now for a little over a week, and I hope the weather cooperates and we could have a great LPGA championship and a winner here this weekend.
Well, yeah. Well, good luck with that. What are you one of the guys carrying the scoreboards behind the golfers,
No,
or are you putting flags in the rough, or what are you doing?
No, so I my job, I volunteered. Shelly, my wife, is working the media tent, so you may see her if you're out there with some of the Viking contingent. But I'm actually, I did the ropes. So I was out there last Wednesday. We were putting the ropes and the stakes in the ground. The whole course. It took an entire day of volunteers. And then I'm gonna be out there again on Wednesday for the pro-am and actually the practice round, and just making sure that everyone's moving and flowing through, and the crosswalks and those type of things. So I'll be out there with my LPGA gear on, my volunteer gear, and a pair of sunglasses and a floppy hat, and hopefully no one will recognize me. I'll just be out there enjoying some great women's golf.
Good. Well, I hope you have a fun time. I hope we see you here this summer, maybe for training camp or somewhere down the line. Belated Happy Father's Day to you as well, Rich.
All right, brother. Hey, look, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great season. A lot of change in this division. You look at Green Bay with a new coach and Matt LaFleur. You look at Detroit. They've got a new offensive coordinator, a guy that's familiar to a lot of Viking fans, and Darryl Bevel. Chicago's got a new defensive coordinator, Chuck Pagano. So I think it's going to be a very interesting division, and I think that we could see some teams improve within the division. I think we could see some teams fall back. I think Green Bay could be one of those teams that fall back a little bit. Yeah,
it's going to be fun. It's a wide open division, but it's a division with a lot of good teams at the same time, and of course we have a couple CBS games this season, so hopefully we'll cross paths during the regular season as well as you're doing games for that network. You do a great job with that.
Brother, you do a great job, and it's always good to be with you, and thanks for having me on, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
You bet. Good luck at the golf tournament, Rich. See ya.
Thanks, brother.